Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of The Real Estate Path. I'm your host, Jim Lee. I'm super excited to have you guys with here today. This show is all about an investor's real estate investor's journey. It's not just a highlight, but we're going to touch upon the real, raw road that an investor must take in order to achieve their desired vision. Whether you are a first-time investor or a seasoned pro, we're going to deep dive into the successes, the wins, loss, the lesson, and what it takes to be a successful real estate investor. And I have a special guest today. His name is Sanjeev. Welcome, Sanjeev.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah. So Sanjeev and I first met when one of my guest speaker at my meetup, Gary Lipsky, who's a very well-known multifamily syndicator, he referred me to Sanjeev, and his background's very unique. He started investing in Los Angeles, which a lot of people don't believe that you can actually make money here due to all the regulation landmines, tenant-friendly state, and rent control, all that. So today we're going to unpack a little bit what it takes to invest in Los Angeles with Sanjeev. So Sanjeev, can you give us a little bit background, context into what you do? How you got started?
Sure. My name is Sanjeev Bhatia. I'm the founder and president of LME Investment. I live in the South Bay and I invest in my backyard. I only buy small multifamily properties under 20 units and manage in-house and running the ship tight. Regarding my journey, always want to buy apartments. I started right after college. And just bought properties, sold. I made money, I lost money. And then with the corporate job, I was start buying small properties in my backyard and manage in-house. And beauty about buying in your backyard is I don't need to fly all over the country. And if you hold the property for long run, and especially in LA, you can enjoy all the appreciation. And at the same time, you can, instead of managing 100 units, you can make the same amount of money by owning 10 units in Los Angeles. Is that much a difference? Mm-hmm. 100 headaches versus 10 headaches when it comes to managing the number of units, even is that much difference versus investing in Los Angeles and outside. With all that said, it is a heavily regulated market. Over here is needed special kind of patience. You not only have to be a good operator, you need to have a patience, and also you need to know how to deal with all these new regulations, which is nonstop, especially in California.
So you brought up an interesting point. Since I come from the multifamily syndication world, a lot of people view syndication doing these bigger projects, 100 plus unit apartment building. It's for us, it's easier to scale because not only are you able to attract better real estate agent, lender, property managers, like basically just a better, higher caliber team to work with you, but because of economy of scale, you're able to basically hire an on-site manager to manage the facility, to oversee the project, makes things more seamlessly easier. When you have that economy of scale. But you made a point that, you rather manage 10 units than 100 units because you would have 100 headaches versus 10 headaches. Can you elaborate on that, on your perspective on that piece?
Yeah, I think out of state, first of all, the properties are much more cheap, right? You have a cash flow, but there is an appreciation when the market goes up. What happened in the last 10, 12 years. There was good appreciation even out of state. But if you look in California, especially in Los Angeles, we are a supply constrained market. Mm-hmm. We don't deal with we don't have to deal with our tenant's going to move to the brand new properties across the street with the same rent. Over here, especially in Los Angeles, and all the new buildings are coming is A-class, and where the rents for one bedroom are in the range of close to $4,000. And versus I don't have to worry about if I'm buying in a blue collar neighborhood, my tenants are not going into those units. Versus out of state, as I said, that as soon as you increase the rent, if there's across the street there is a new property, that's your competition. And also over here is our entry barrier is high. Our units like normally cost in the range of 300,000 versus out of state you can pick as cheap as 50, 80,000, 100,000 for that. And then our rents are high as well. We do not have as much rental turnover as you see out of state. And also over here, when we have a rental turnover, actually is a good thing for us because we can increase the rent sometime. The market rent and the previous rent can be $1,000 difference, $800 difference. We don't go for $100 difference when they say, okay, I see sometime out of state, or they have a budget, they're going to spend $10,000 and they're going to increase $150 rent. Over here, whenever we have a rental turnover, always there is a $500 to $1,000 difference. And rental turnovers are good when our tenants move. Unless we are already charging the market rent, then it's not good. That's why I think real estate in Los Angeles versus Los Angeles, New York, or other big metro cities versus going to the other markets is a way different. Here I know tons of small operator who owns 50, 60 units, 40 units, and with the one person who's managing all those, and they're making really good money. And because of all the appreciation, they just gained over the years in Los Angeles.
Yeah, absolutely. So I definitely agree to the statement you made. I started with investing residential in Ontario, California, and I have probably switched 3 tenants over the past 10 years. And, that basically proves the point that the tenants, they do get there and they do stay long term. They don't really, there's not much turnover there. And yeah, whenever a tenant moves out, it does, I am able to adjust to the market rent after fixing it up. Now, which brings back to what I mentioned at the beginning of the show. That all sounds great when you can just have a tenant sit there, set it, forget it, and not really have to worry too much about it. But what if the scenario turns on you where you want to sell the property and now you got to tell the tenant, hey, I'm selling the property. It's better to sell it vacant, like you talked about. With the eviction process, that becomes a nightmare. How do you deal with things like that?
It is not easy to evict the tenants in California. The tenants are protected unless your property is built within the last 15 years. That falls under the state rule, AB 1482. But rest, we do not have that luxury where we can tell the tenants, oh, I'm selling, you have to move out. And I do not invest in a single family. Mine ones are multi-family. So in single family, sometimes somebody want to move in and then you can request a tenant. But mine ones all are multi-family. So if I have to exit, I don't need to vacate the unit for that. So I can just, the tenants I have, the buyer, need to deal with those tenants.
Okay. So, and correct me if I'm wrong. What you're saying is if you invest in multifamily, right, you're able to be able to withstand if there's some vacancy, if there's a tenant issue, you still have other units that's being rented out because of the economy of scale, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Now, in terms of residential, you don't do that, but you started with residential first, right? Or did you just get into multifamily?
I started with the small multifamily.
Oh, okay.
Those triplexes, fourplexes, and, LA has so much inventory of small fourplexes or triplexes. If you look some part of Los Angeles is full of all those triplexes and fourplexes. And you don't need to, you can just buy, and those fall under the residential financing as well. And that's why those are easy to sell as well, because we have plenty of those doctors, attorneys, they want to get into the real estate, and most of the time they just buy those fourplexes. So
unpacked for our audience here, if I was to start, if I'm a first-time real estate investor, I want to just get straight into multifamily. Just, I want to live just like Sanjeev, and I'm looking at these duplex, triplex, or even 5 units or more, right? Where the numbers have to make sense, obviously, and you look at these deals, like you mentioned, 1 to 4 units, you're using residential loan. 5 units or more, you're using commercial loan. It's a different world that you're playing in. If I was to start, what advice would you give to people starting out? What should they know before making a decision on investing in the residential side of multifamily or the commercial side?
I think one should, especially in Los Angeles, if they can even start with a house hack. They can go get a fourplex and live in one of the unit, and the rental income from the other 3 unit can help with the financing as well. They can use 75% of the rental income towards their income from the property. And then plus, they can use their own income and can do the house hack. That's the one way to start. If person already have the house, like they cannot do the house hack, then start with the smaller properties. And it is a long-term game. I think, especially in Los Angeles, there's not much cash flow. You just buy the right property in your backyard, the closest where maybe, when I say backyard, it can be a 1-hour drive. Los Angeles is so big, you can go 1 hour, 2 hour, buy small properties. And if you can qualify with your personal income, go with that and then invest and forget. Manage, but forget about the income coming. And sit on that property for 7 to 10 years, the chances are your property value going to be almost double. I think, and then that appreciation now, some people think, if I invest, what are the cash flow? California market is not cash flow in the starting. But once you own for 5-7 years, then your cash flow can be really, really good.
Right.
Because our rents goes way up very quickly as compared to the other markets.
Right. If you have an opportunity, let's say, to add value, right, you can, get some return on equity on that. That's something that I definitely have been hearing a lot of LA operators, how they turn a negative cash flow into positive cash flow, right? Yes. Over time, it's just by going into these deals, add value and increase the income, and essentially just hold it as long as it's same positive cash flow, or maybe even to a point where you hold it enough that you can cash out refi, right? That's basically what I'm seeing. But I wanted to ask, when it comes to investing these type of deals, what are the matrix you look for when you look at these deals, whether you're underwriting for 1 to 4 units compared to 5 units or more? Because I figured that could probably be very different, right? When you're looking at analyzing deals, and depending on how much you can take out a loan for on your personal level, or how much this income, the income it produces, that's what it comes down to when it comes to commercial loan, right? Can you kind of elaborate a little bit about that, what you look at?
Sure. Let me just also add the last question.
Yeah.
Also, one can buy a smaller properties. Here we have in these days, outside ADU. It is the extra granny unit you can build. We have a new law passed, SB 1211, where you can build 8 detached ADU on a multifamily property and 25% attached. What does that mean? You can pick up a 8-unit property. You can literally build 8 units on the same lot as long as there is a space. You can 8-unit property, you can turn into the 16 units property. And by law, you do not have to provide the parking. And at the same time, you are adding so much housings into the much needed market like LA. That's very hard these days. And this is what I'm working on majority of my properties. I'm building ADU on wherever I have the land or wherever I can just change garages into the ADUs. That's another value add, a big thing in Los Angeles. Now coming back to your question regarding the underwriting 1 to 4 unit and 5 plus. 1 to 4 units, our properties are, as you know, those are considered as a residential properties, where your property value is based on the comps. Yeah, the appraiser do consider the income, but that's not their main factor where they just give you the value. They based on if the fourplexes are selling in a one market for a 1.5 million or 2 million, So if your fourplex is in the same, is the value going to be close to that one, right? Based on if your property is new, maybe the appraiser will give you a little bit more value of that. So when I'm underwriting 1 to 4 units, I do look for the comps on that. And then on top of that, 1 to 4 units, as I said, that there's so many high earner professionals in Los Angeles, they can buy those properties with a 25% down, for that. And then even they have to pay the out of their pocket every month, the mortgage. Maybe the rents will not cover by only putting it 25% down, but they are okay with that. Maybe they are buying to just for their, as a investment for their kids or tax write-off, so many different reasons. So that's 1 to 4 units. When it comes to 5 plus, it's all about the income of the property, for that. And now underwriting is keep changing. The fundamentals are there, but the underwriting keep changing. 3 years back when the interest rates were close to 3%, you can pay higher for those properties versus right now when the interest rates are close to 7%, your whole underwriting change. And 3-4 years back, we did not have the insurance crisis. Our insurance premiums were at that time, 35, 45 cents or 50 cents per square feet. Right now, versus right now is sometimes $2 or $1.50. So your insurance premiums are more than double, or in some cases triple. Sometimes you don't even get a full coverage. Sometimes you have to go get 2 kinds of different insurance on one property. So all those things are now decrease your NOI. So your underwriting keep changing. What I was willing to pay 3 years back, I will not pay today. And maybe 3 years down the road, there may be a different reasons the underwriting going to change. So the market dictate the underwriting, but there are a few fundamentals. You want to just make sure that when you're buying, you are doing the stress test. You are not just betting on appreciation. You're looking for, that's why in my case, I only buy in a few zip codes because I know on the ground level what kind of rent I can charge, right? What kind of a tenant base is over there. And my vendors are in the same area. So I have all these knowledge of that area. That's why I buy just in that market. But if I move into the different market, I need to learn all those. Sometimes that's why I'm amazed. Some operators, they just go into so many different market. I don't know how they can be expert on every single market because market change from one location to the another. And there's so many different factors, which is, if you don't know, you can lose money. And other thing about the real estate is very forgiving when the market goes up. What I mean by that, you can be a newbie investor and can buy the property, pay the highest price in that market. If the market goes up, you're still going to make money. When the market goes down, everything matters. Your underwriting matters. Your operational expertise matters. All those things just play. Otherwise, you can lose money. So when we say in a real estate, oh, I'm paying 60 cents on a dollar, 50 cents on a dollar, 70 cents on a dollar, who's losing the 30%? Who's losing 40%? Somebody's losing. Another investor who did not pay attention, who just paid that, oh, real estate, you can always make money. Real estate always goes up. It's true, real estate always goes up, but it goes up sometime if you hold for a long run, for 10, 12 years. Any property I buy, I'm just looking for that for a 10 years hold, at least 8 to 10 years. And if somebody's underwriting that they can turn around the property in 5 years, to be honest, that operator will lose. Because when the market goes down, sometime it does not come back within 5 years, especially what is happening right now, what happened in even 2008 or other recessions. So I think once you have the underwriting for 7 to 10 years, look, exit when the market is in your favor. You can sometimes exit the property after 2-3 years and double your money. But that doesn't happen all the time. That's why conservative underwriting is the key to be a successful investor.
Yeah. That's really good. Definitely have a vision for being able to hold it a longer period of time, right? That from what I'm hearing is that kind of mitigate your risk as if you were to project, hey, we're going to sell this in 2 to 5 years. And, and if it doesn't, then you're basically over promising and under delivering. You want to always just over deliver and under promise in a way to your investors and so forth. So I want to get back to what you said about being being the expert in your local market, right? That's how your tenant, your demographics, the type of price, the price that the building should be selling in this market, right? Yeah. You know everything. So, can you give the audience, a snapshot into how long did it take you to go through this trial and error to build that kind of experience and to let you know, hey, I finally am the expert of this market? Because people think that it's all just, I can just learn this online. I can learn on YouTube. I can just join a mastermind group and there we go. I have all the knowledge in this area now. But that's not the case, right? I'm pretty sure it took a lot longer than that for you to get to where you're at today. So can you elaborate a little bit on that?
In any market, I think even the reports, which is like, some companies who just sell their data for any market, were very reputable companies. To be honest with you, when I look their data and then I see like, okay, that even data is wrong. Because when I say wrong, it means they are 6 months behind. Because 6 months behind on their data, they're saying that these are the rents you can charge in this area. Then when I have 10 vacancies in that area, I know what kind of rent I can collect versus I'm not going by that data. That data sometimes the broker use to put the pro forma and all those other stuff for other investors, because sometimes even that data does not tell what is happening on a ground level. Being on the ground where you're managing the properties, and that's the advantage I have. And plus on top of that is when even I was buying the property, acquiring the properties, I don't need to justify why I want to pay the price I want to pay. I simply tell them this is what I'm paying in this market, and these are my own properties can be a comp for the broker for that. And for me, this is my advice. Doesn't matter where you live. You can be living in New York, you can be living in Los Angeles. You can make money in any market. Be expert in your backyard. Just like, even underwrite, if you underwrite so many deals, suddenly you're going to start looking, okay, oh, this deal makes sense. And then start with the small. And these sometimes this guru give the advice, do not manage the property in-house. All those kind of stuff they do because, most of they're telling them property management is a thankless job. You deal with the tenants, toilet, trash all day long, right? But I can tell you right now, there's a lot of operators are in trouble because they took a floating debt. They were thinking the interest rate is going to come down or they're going to increase the value and they're going to be able to refinance. And right now, those are the operators are in a big trouble. They're giving the properties back to the lenders or whatever other stuff is happening. The reason behind, because those are not a real operators, right? Everybody want to be on a stage. Everybody want to look good. Everybody want to talk about how many thousand doors they just on. But in a reality, who are the real operators who do not mind it to have their hands dirty, who are doing the property management in-house, those are the operators survive when the market conditions are not good, when the market conditions are not in your favor, because they pivot right away. Because they know, okay, what need to be happen in order to save the property versus hearing from a property management and when they have no control and they don't know how to manage the properties in-house. Life is good when the market goes up. Believe me or not. These operators look like, okay, man, somehow they have a gold touch. Any property they just buy, the properties goes up and investors are making money and everything is good. But in reality, most of those investors or the operators, it disappear when the market goes down. And that happens in 2008. That's happening right now as well. So real estate is not a quick rich game. Real estate is not where you can be a mailbox money. If you are investing in a real estate, look for a long term. Yeah, it can be a mailbox money when you're investing in with a good operator and the market is doing good. then it is for the limited investors, is a good limited partner. They can just enjoy that mailbox money. But at the same time, if you really want to make money in a real estate, look for a long term and be expert, whichever the market one want to invest.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that. Pretty much on time, but I want to ask this one question: is that whatever you just discussed gave me the confidence, because as you know that I'm currently in a deal that we're doing our due diligence in a multifamily project in Tulsa, and when we win this deal, I will be physically moving out there to oversee the project. And that's exactly what you said earlier, is to be more hands-on, get down and dirty, and be there to actually manage the team, know your market, know your people, know who's going to be able to help, who's going to help you get this deal to be successful, right? And so I think a lot of us, when we first start out, the idea to delegate everything out sounds so good. But what kind of advice would you have for a first-time investor that's getting into real estate investing, if they're looking to delegate a task, whether it's hire a property management company or do in-house, or actually just house hack like you mentioned earlier, and just naturally become a property manager themselves by managing the tenants while they're living with the tenants? What kind of advice would you have for people looking to get started, to get some experience, some skill set under their belt before they can fully delegate that to someone else? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I think as I talked about, just underwrite wherever you want to invest, underwrite tons of whatever you see on the market coming from the broker. If you underwrite 100 plus property, you're going to see that, okay, this property makes sense. Mm-hmm. Plus, I'm a big believer that one should manage the properties in-house, at least the small one. I'm not saying that go start managing 100-unit property. Mm. Smaller properties with the house hack, or especially in the market like Los Angeles, where sometimes even the fourplex can cost you $2 million to just buy over here. But if you go Inland Empire, you can maybe pick up under $1 million, right? Just manage in-house so you can learn everything. And that you will become expert. Even tomorrow, when you grow big, you give it to the property management, how to manage. You can guide the property manager. And even when you give it to the property management, it's not a hands-off. You still have to manage the property management company, right, for that. And be just my advice is that, people's talking about number of doors. Who care about number of doors? It's just at the end of the day, what do you take home that matters? Number of doors are all, it's a sell on the stage. By I heard so many people, I own that many thousand doors. I started 4 years back. At the end of the day, it's not true, right? It is maybe it's a good work to attract the investors, but in reality, that person is not a real operator, right? It takes time. It takes decades to build the real estate portfolio. You cannot just build 1,000 units in working a couple of years or starting with some of the LPGP, whatever the stuff is over there. So my advice is that just start with the small, be expert, and keep adding smaller properties into your portfolio. And then you're going to have enough experience. Then you can get into the bigger game. Then you can delegate. Now you're going to be successful even when the market is going to go down, because you know the whole how to manage the property, what the things can go wrong and everything, and be conservative. That's the name of the game. And rents go down in this market. Property value goes down. But if you hold for a long run, everything going to work out. In a real estate, you never lose money if you don't have to sell, right? You only lose money when you're forced to sell and the market is not in your favor. If you hold for a long run, we all know the market is going to come back, but nobody has a crystal ball. Sometimes it takes 2 years, sometimes it takes 6 years. And sometimes that's the time you have to work free. And you are working, but you're not seeing any appreciation in the property. But that's the name of the game. But overall, I still believe multifamily is the best investment out there, right? You can just buy the right property, manage well, be conservative, keep a very healthy reserve, do all kind of stress test, right? And it's not like, okay, when the market was up, everybody was saying that, okay, everybody's paying like, let's put $150,000 per door in out of state. Okay, if I'm buying for 130, maybe I'm picking up the best deal. But maybe when the value goes down, that if the same unit is going to go to $100,000, can you hold that property? If you can hold it, then it's okay. Then you pay for 130 and keep a healthy reserve. But just understand that what kind of rents this market can absorb, right? And right now, with all this new inventory coming into the market, I think we have some challenging times in front of us. And at the same time, somebody has a patience capital. This is the best time to buy as well, because I'm seeing the properties at a discount I never seen before. Because everybody was so bullish on the market, they were paying way too much for those properties because the interest rates were low. And they were thinking that if they can just hold for a few years, everything going to work out. But now, the situation is different. Mm-hmm. So that's why I think be conservative.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I just have one last question. You mentioned earlier, people go on stage, maybe to sell, whatever. But I know that you are pretty active in terms of attending conferences, speaking on stage, coming to my meetup to speak as well. What type of value are you seeing? That by speaking on stage, and why do you do that?
Number one reason to meet the other operators. The challenges I have, the other operator are going to have the same challenges. So you just pick each other brain, right? Okay, this is what I'm seeing in the market. Do you see the same thing in your market or in the same area? How you're handling this situation? What are the things you are doing to avoid all these issues we all are facing? Like we can sometimes share our vendors, our insurance brokers, our lenders, or the market. What are the things they are just doing to fill their vacancies quickly, right? All those things. So I love to connect with other operators because this is the place where now they can learn something from me and I can learn something from them. That's the reason I just goes into all those conferences.
I see.
Yeah.
Do you ever get into a partnership with them, or is this just sharing knowledge?
Yes, I am open to the JV partnership.
I see.
With that, like if it makes sense. We are open with the JV partnership. Yes.
I see. Okay, very cool. Is there anything else you would like to share with our audience that we haven't covered?
I think, as I said, if you want to get into the real estate, just start small, right? Do not be afraid to go manage the property yourself, right? I know if you are a professional, maybe your time is not worth doing that, but start with the small and be expert on that. It takes time, as much as people keep saying that, okay, this is not a quick rich. You will be rich for sure if you hold the property for long run.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. How can everyone find out more about you?
Okay, they can, my website is www.lmeinvestments.com. We do a weekly newsletter. We've been doing this for last, 5-7 years. Every Sunday we do the weekly newsletter. We have a meetup as well. We run a monthly meetup, no charge on that. And at the same time also on a social media, my handle on Instagram, Sanjeev, B as a brother, LA. And they can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, or X. I'm all over.
Awesome. Great. It was so nice to have you, Sanjeev. That concludes another episode of The Real Estate Path. Stay tuned for more. We'll see you next time.